So before I start the review, like it, subscribe to my channel, but who cares? I might be gone tomorrow. You might be gone tomorrow. Let's begin. Alright, so this show of Dynamite had a really good card. Like on paper, really good card. But I don't think it quite delivers as much on the match department. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the promo segments though, but there's just something that could have put it over the top for me. This was a good show, but not a great show as it was built. And I'll tell you why. So the first match of the card is BCC versus United Empire / the Callis family. So I don't feel any particular way about the opening beatdown, but it does get the crowd hyped, I guess. That always does it. But this match was very individualistic for a tag match. It's much less combinations than it is two separate singles matches at the same time that's happening. Basically, the dynamic of the match is that Fletcher is the whipping boy here, who is basically the kid of the match that Danielson and Mox beat up on. Mox, on the other hand, is the whipping boy for the BCC, which is baffling since he's the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and Bryan's not a champion. But I guess if you ignore the titles, I still enjoy Danielson more, so I put him on a higher tier than everyone, so I guess Mox is the rightful whipping boy. It's just his style, like, it's so slow. I know it's intentional and purposeful, but in this match, he wasn't that consistent in the limb that he was targeting. I mean, that is his style. It's very safe. It's very built for a Japanese audience. It's more of like a realism type style. But it's been done better by him in the past. Or maybe I've just seen it too many times that I need something new for Mox. Jeff Cobb, on the other hand, shines more in the character department. He's a lot more malicious and cocky. And it's like surprising. It's like refreshing to see Jeff Cobb do more than just, I'm a tough guy, come at me, bro. He showed a lot of personality and character in this match. Especially towards Bryan Danielson, they play up him being the hometown boy, and therefore he will be the hot tag of the match. This was enjoyable, but I think it lacked the climax that we've been used to in AEW tag team matches. That even lower card tag matches, trios matches, just like the next one, and more notably the match on Collision with Claudio and Danielson against Top Flight, that one had a better climax than this. So I wasn't that quite satisfied in this one. Like, especially the people who are in it and how rare we see Jeff Cobb in AEW. I think all of these guys should have done more, but especially Cobb. He should have showcased his strength more. But yeah, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just okay. So yeah, so my score for this, TV undercard, pay-per-view opening, there are no top spots. Maybe just the Jeff Cobb taunts and that's it. So after this is the Swerve versus Christian video package. It has some cool music, and we need more of these for the new viewers. It reminds me of WrestleMania 17, where it's My Way, of course, is very iconic, but it was better than the actual match. My God, that was a brawl, and I hated it so much. I fell asleep my first time watching it. I'm sorry. But yeah, this video package here, for me, recapped the feud really well. It reminded everyone of what's happening with Swerve as he's being overshadowed by the Elite storyline, which should be on the side compared to the World Champion, since said World Champion isn't directly involved in it for this week. I know it's all interconnected, but they've had the main event segment for weeks now, and I think Swerve should get it now. And I don't understand the Christian hate. I mean, he is universally loved by haters and fans all the same. People love his promos. They love his father gimmick. But I don't know why people don't think he deserves a title match. He deserves a title match. He was the most over when MJF was gone. He was basically the most entertaining heel. And now he has a shot for the World Championship. And guys, the feud makes sense. They have beef. And how they play it out much later in the show really works. So after this, we have the Copeland and House of Black segment. So this has been a long time coming for House of Black. They've been losing and losing all the time. They've been like basically top enhancement talents. Very good, but very clearly the Dolph Ziggler trio. And here, despite losing some more, Malachi manages to look better than he ever has in this company. And I think in the WWE as well, but that's not a high bar to top. Like as a heel, as a face, I didn't think it suited him. Like he was basically a silent protagonist, but here, as a heel, with his freedom, I think he finally found his calling, and I think he's gonna win the championship because of what happens here. Because he takes Cope's wedding ring. And I would have felt this more if Beth Phoenix was involved in the feud, or if the kids were. You know what? If Julia Hart wasn't injured, Beth Phoenix would totally be in the feud. That would make me more invested, and you know what? I think it would have made things mean more rather than just taking this like piece of object that isn't really a concrete thing that would put my family in danger. It's just like a symbolic thing. I mean, it's nice, but House of Black need to like exert their dominance even more, even when they're losing. So that's why I think like what would make sense storyline wise is if Cope lost. Cope has to lose now, because if he lost, he's going to be part of House of Black. And you know what? If that happens, if the dude becomes a part of the House of Black, and that helps not only Malachi, who's going to have a championship, who's going to be a bigger part of the show, he's probably going to stay in AEW because of that. I'm really a fan of Malachi Black. I hope he doesn't leave. Not only does it achieve that, but it puts Cope in a position where, you know what, Christian can save his ass. It puts him in a like prime position to have a reunion with Christian. Imagine after months of being put through the House of Black shit, Christian suddenly arrives and then saves his friend. After healing it up for months, doing these heinous things, Christian will save Cope, and maybe somebody will swoop in and take that TNT title from Malachi. And then we can have that Edge and Christian tag team run that we all want and expect. Okay, so I like the segment. But what the hell is this? What is this abomination of a setup? Like, what's this supposed to accomplish? You're putting 2 chairs outside the ropes. How the hell will that eventually hit Cope? Put the chairs inside the ropes. You gotta play test these ultimate finishers before you do them. And at first, I thought this was it. I thought they weren't gonna get like a follow-up where Malachi explained what was gonna happen, that Cope was gonna kneel to House of Black if he lost. But when that segment happened, I was so relieved. I was into this. This like became number 2 feud of the whole show. So yeah, things are going amazing in that feud. Right direction. They just need to follow through and have House of Black win. Win something for once. So after this is a recap of Eddie's injury. And it was terrible. Like, it was probably he landed on the back of his leg on the guardrail because it had no ropes. That looked like PCL. But I need more information. I'm just speculating here. But I think regardless of the injury, I think the Elite would have shown up anyway to beat him up. And this just makes it even work more, sad to say. I don't like that it took out Eddie Kingston, but I like how someone else, like the replacement, suited this even more. Honestly, he should have been there instead of maybe an FTR or a Bryan Danielson. But I'm glad with what we have at the end of the show, where I'll explain my thoughts on that. After this is a promo of the Elite where they're not overexposed. It's short and sweet. They make fun of the injury. They sounded good. They kept it short. Okada has the best Japanese accent out of all of the Japanese talent. Like, better Japanese English accent. bar none, compared to everyone from all the companies. Like, his promo style has transitioned the best, better than Shinsuke, better than Konosuke, better than Asuka, I'm afraid to say. Like, he doesn't need to speak Japanese in order to, like, drive the point. He can speak straight out English, and it still works. And just the expressions on this guy. Like, even in the next segment where it's like a dystopian ad with the Elite promoting Reebok, them using the dudes who they have controlling their YouTube channel, they put on this self-indulgent Reebok commercial. I mean, who the hell wears Reebok anyway? Like, the Nikes are better. You know what? On Cloud, Hoka shoes. Get sponsored by that and you'll be like the coolest kids in town. F Reebok, why'd you have to promote them and their garbage ass shoes? Just look at this disgrace to footwear. So after that is like a very straight to the point and honestly kind of boring promo by FTR. They don't say much. We kind of thought this was what's already in their head or something. I don't understand the need for this segment. We could have had something else, get more time, especially those other non-wrestling segments. They were really good after this. So yeah, after this is the Young Bucks versus Daniels and Seidel. Okay, so for this match, this has a worse score on Cage Match, but honestly, I enjoy this more. The only reason why people are hating on this is because Seidel and Daniels are basically enhancement talent. They haven't won anything in a long time, but performance-wise, if you ignore everything, which sadly you can't do in a wrestling show, you have to like sort of measure in their power levels, and they're nowhere close to each other. But I like the performance that they put. I think Seidel still has it. Like, it's still Matt Seidel. Like, he hasn't lost a step. He's so agile. It's like injuries haven't bothered him in his old age. Daniels can barely move, but he was alright. And yeah, a specific group of smarks in the front row just like refuse to react to the Young Bucks. They're probably Cornette fans or like purists, especially that fat one. But yeah, this was really fun. Come on. This was fast. This had a sense of urgency. They did stuff. They told a story up to the end, and I love that ending. CD is the babyface hot tag. Bucks cut the ring in half, tear Matt Seidel apart, and I like how he like portrays desperation. And him being in the ring for like longer protected Daniels from exposing his old age too much. Dude does not walk properly anymore. The ending for this one is really good, but I think it works better in like a tag team breakup feud. I love how like Daniels goes for a top rope Frankensteiner, but Matt holds Nick, I think. So CD gets a lot of nothing. He lands on the floor. He tries to go for a tag, but Seidel is outside the barricade. So there. He gets TK drivered for the win for the Young Bucks. My score for this is TV undercard pay-per-view opener. But it's better than the first match by a mile. And then after this, the Bucks do the unthinkable and then fire CD, which is honestly, I think we saw it coming. Like maybe half or like 75% of the crowd, you know what, let's be nice, 60% of the crowd saw it coming. CD was either going to get fired or was going to be like this sort of servant character who wants to keep his job. But I like that they sent CD away with more dignity than being a Brandon Cutler. I like how they go realistic with it, where they said they were going to pay the 30 days. I like all the real talk, all that transparency. It's really a welcome change to what we usually get, where you get fired because you lost a match and then you just don't get paid. Like, you can get sued. Reality-based wrestling, everyone. So yeah, after this is the Tony Storm promo. It's a great, silly promo. Like, Tony has the character down. I love how she talks. She has the cadence. She knows when to say the words and when to do those quirks. But this feels like small time. Like, this feels like a mid card character. Like, it's really fun, but I don't think silly characters are made to be women's champion or like world champions, since like Willow Nightingale cut a very good promo later. Like, she outshined Tony Storm despite her not having this over the type character. She's just like Willow. And she made the TBS title feel more like the women's title compared to Tony Storm here. And Deeb isn't really doing Tony Storm that much favors since she can't carry herself at an equal level microphone wise. And then again, put Harley on Rampage, not on Dynamite. So yeah, after this, we got the Malachi promo that I liked. And then we have the Hook segment that does kind of nothing for me. For me, Chris Jericho is the main character here. He has successfully reinvented himself as this delusional, sort of not completely up there character, kind of in denial. And with his line of the night that he says here to the crowd that tells him to retire, that if I retire, I'll be part of every wrestling Hall of Fame, and I know you're not ready for that. And that just adds another layer to that character. He's trying to delay the inevitable. His titles have been going down in prestige. Now he's the FTW FTW champion. He is almost at rock bottom, like compared to what he usually is. Big Bill was a lot more cocky this time, which I liked. Yeah, Jericho and the Learning Tree and Big Bill, they are securely Dynamite worthy, in my opinion. Hook, on the other hand, who basically just says the same thing the same way over and over again, comes out as sort of whiny. I'm not feeling Hook. I've never been that big of a fan of Hook. Like, even when they started doing the whole, he's tougher than everyone, he beat Ricky Starks, Hook never hooked me. Like, honestly, I think this spot with Hook should have been given to Ricky Starks, and then you could have just let Hook go. Like, honestly, I think it's a crime what they're doing to Ricky Starks, not giving him the chances, not giving him the TV time, and just like allowing him to move on to WWE. Hook is not ready, and then he should go on excursion. For me, among everyone in this feud, I think Shibata is the highest value guy because he has a nice gimmick. He has this aura about him that like speaks TNT champion or maybe world champion challenger that always loses, but he can be in that field, not Hook. Dude is not ready in my opinion. Like, in the mic, he's basically the same. Like, I liked him better when he didn't talk, honestly. And in the ring, he's good, but he's not like top guy good, like an aerodynamic phenom like Kenny Omega or like a Will Ospreay. He's nowhere near that level. So yeah, Hook, sit down, stay on Rampage, or go on excursion. Look how much that helped Jack Perry. So yeah, Hook, go on excursion. And then after this is the Swerve promo that precedes his match. Basically him just stating his like intentions. It's sort of nothing special, but I like how it happens right before his match, which ended up being match of the night, by the way. Because Cage versus Swerve was from start to finish the most action-packed thing of the night, and I think is the most pay-per-view quality among all of the matches in this card. The crowd was so loud, they created this hostile environment for Brian Cage, and Brian Cage doesn't do any of his lucha stuff that sometimes looks so bad because he's so big and then he doesn't do the moves fast enough. Like if Ray Fenix sometimes flubs, or you know what, all the time, flubs the sort of rebound kick that he does, Cage does that all the time with the luchador moves unless like he gets lucky. It usually never looks good, so I'm glad that he didn't do any of them against Swerve because he was menacing here. This was the best Cage looked ever. We have a Swerve-dominated start, a Cage-dominated middle, and then it all ends up with a nice climax at the end. They make use of Brian Cage's strength in favor and against Swerve, like it's useful to have someone like this because you can pull off a spot like the one where Swerve tried to do an outside dive, Cage catches him, Swerve counters out of it, and then he delivers a kick to Cage. Like, who else can you reliably have do that aside from maybe Claudio? It makes the guy doing it look good, and it makes the guy countering out of it look even better. So yeah, top spots of the match for this one. Like, there weren't much in the way of these sort of like storyline moments, but this was a fight, this was a battle. Number three spot of the match. Number three spot of the match is the military press slam to Swerve on the turnbuckle. Number two spot is the one I stated before, was when Swerve gets caught in like a suplex position as he's doing an outside dive. He gets bounced back to the apron and then he does a kick. And then for the number one spot is this combination mid-match. Weapon X countered to an arm bar, or like it's an arm triangle, powerbomb, F5, kick out. So yeah, this was pay-per-view undercard, TV main event. This was the best match of the night, but it's no 4-star classic. So yeah, post-match segment is, I think, the best non-wrestling segment of the show, despite how I much enjoyed the TNT segment part. Next match is basically they've done away with the side boss. Brian Cage has been defeated. Now it's time to move up to Christian. And there's a criticism where Swerve isn't getting out on top much, but you need to build the opponent as a legit threat since no one actually expects Swerve to win the title. That's why you gotta make Christian look strong. You can't have him look like a joke. I mean, eventually Swerve will like have the better of him, but like you gotta build Christian up. And Swerve just like defeated 3 huge dudes, like 3 of the biggest dudes in the company. So yeah, during this segment, Swerve gets swerved. Like he gets blindsided and then attacked by Christian's family. And then they make him bleed, and somehow, like for some reason, there's like a portrait of Swerve's family right in the ring. I didn't see how it got there. I think Swerve keeps it in a jacket. I mean, like in the inside of his jacket or something. Somebody could have just like thrown it in. Nick Wayne could have done it. But this was a really nice touch to make Swerve bleed from it and then like wipe his blood on the picture. It's very, you know what? It's very like Swerve like when he was a heel. It's very despicable and disgusting that it's like coming full circle that Swerve is paying for his sins by having things like this done to him. Like, it's not as honorable as the match against Joe, where Joe really didn't resort to stuff like this. Dude didn't go personal. It was a competition and Swerve beat the competition. This is just like malicious, savage, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, Swerve is having his comeuppance, but eventually will be the true babyface. Great storyline progression. I disagree with the criticisms for this segment. So after this is an ad for the Wrestle On's new show. It's a sort of like food thing where they have Eddie Kingston too, and then they talk about matches. I'm definitely gonna watch it on YouTube since it's free and easily accessible, and I don't know, I might do a short on it. We'll see. If I enjoyed that much, I'm gonna tell you my thoughts. So after this is the Hook and Shibata segment where Hook basically says the same thing. I'm gonna beat him, I'm gonna get my FTW title, and then Shibata just outshines him with his cell phone. And please, 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 I know it's gonna happen. They're gonna set up Hook versus Shibata, and then Hook's gonna beat Shibata to get to Jericho. It's like telegraphed here. And Hook's probably going to win clean, but that's going to be the worst decision that you're ever going to make. Shibata's so over. He's so much more interesting than Hook. Hook is pretty one-dimensional. And then they even set him up against Samoa Joe. Which, if Hook beats Samoa Joe, that's like, how and why? Hook hasn't earned it yet. He isn't that over. For me, he's like Jack Perry before the heel turn. Hook's still a baby. Send him on an excursion. Since, to me, the character doesn't work. Push Shibata instead. So yeah, after this, after describing how much I think Hook hasn't matured performance wise. Now we have Toni Storm versus Harley Cameron. So in this match, Harley looks a lot better, but still not Dynamite quality. Rampage quality. I think she's so much snappier here. She shows that she's much better in the ring than she did last week. But the moveset is pretty boring. The match is slow and boring when she's in control, and Toni again sort of carries the match, but in a much lesser degree than Mariah May did the last time. Cameron is a better dance partner, but not the level of the other women that you could have used here. So yeah, I like the ending though. It's really creative. It's something we don't see a lot. It's a fake punch where the opponent reacts to it, and then Toni uses this as a finisher condition. She gets the Storm Zero, hits it on Harley. Great ending. But the rest of the match wasn't. So yeah. Serena Deeb was watching and the stage the whole time, just posing, doing nothing. This doesn't work. She should have been on commentary. She should have been in a more controlled situation, in a more controlled environment, to cut a promo where she could do takes, she can rehearse, she can do cuts. Because having her just look at Toni Storm, it doesn't do anything for the feud. So what? She's watching her opponent wrestle. Have her say something. Don't give up on Serena Deeb's lack of promo ability. Put her in the position to succeed. Get her in these scripted, controlled, recorded segments, basically is what I'm saying. And someone who doesn't need those parameters to be successful, we have Will Ospreay versus the Undisputed Kingdom in this promo battle, and this was sick. Will was fire. I love the eloquence. I love how he says the words. He's basically a Guy Ritchie character. He gets a lot of information across in a short amount of time and sounds really cool. Basically, a Guy Ritchie character. The story gets very real when he says Roddy held him back in Ring of Honor. That's a pretty good reason to fight. Roddy, when not doing a character, when going for realistic things, he's really good. He almost sounded babyface here with the amount of things that he said. It's a very woe is to me sort of thing. It's like how Serena Deeb is. But here he had a dance partner that can elevate him. So why not do that with Serena Deeb instead of having her cut solo live promos where she can fuck up? Yeah, this was a fire segment, number 3 of the night. Okay, stop. For the next segment, this is officially segment of the night. This beats everything else that happened. We have the best mic work of the night, and we finally, just like what I said with Roddy and with Serena, they put Mercedes, who's not a very good promo, in a position to succeed. She's out there bouncing off who is, I think, a superior promo, a generational promo in Willow Nightingale. Did you hear her speak? There was no bad acting there. If you listen to what Willow said and how she said it, you would believe everything she says is unscripted, that it all comes from the heart. That's how good Willow was here. Unlike Toni Storm, who has this sort of mid-card gimmick and promo style. It's all fun and games, but at the end of the day, you gotta have something like this to be world champion. And Willow has it. This had the depth, this had the history behind it. They've faced before, and like Willow said, with the line of the night, and I think of the week, the last time we faced each other, I walked out champion and you didn't walk out at all. This solidly has me on Willow's side. I think she should be TBS champion. Or you know what? If you get Mercedes to win the title, elevate Willow to the women's championship. Have her beat Toni Storm. She is the one that you build on. And then as for Mercedes, this suits her more. Like her being a heel, her being so annoying, being so arrogant and almost a billionaire character. So out of touch with everything. She's so good at it. Better than any babyface version of her was, which she doesn't know how to do. This is best version Mercedes. I'm into this feud now more than the women's title. And I think most of you will agree with me. The future is here and it's Willow Nightingale. She powerbombs Mercedes on the table. It means she's cleared. Let's fucking go. I am all in. So yeah, for the last segment / match of the night is one that's, I think, piled on with so much expectation. You have like a recipe for success here. You have like one of the best wrestlers in the world for the last couple of years, like best in-ring guys like in the history of the business when he was motivated. I need to add that. And they don't quite give us like a New Japan level, like main event level match, but it was good enough. Like there was some shenanigans at the end, but they had the first 2/3 of a great New Japan match. They just didn't have that climax. And yeah, when Okada stepped in there, a god just stepped into the ring. That first and second thirds of a third was like all I wanted. It was all I wanted to be, but they just didn't have like a good climactic balls to the wall finish like how an Okada match should have. I like the unique holds that Okada has. He's very hard hitting. The start is quite slow, but what they do woke me up, and it's like 3 a.m. And Okada's new character, this man, you know what, wherever company that he would go to, WWE, AEW, this guy knows how to make it work with an American audience. He's cocky Okada. And Dax Hardwood sells being like injured. He sells the count out one step above the way he sold it against Dynamite Kid. Like in that match, he falls over, but it's quite awkward. But in this one, he falls over and it looks like more natural. It's like an 8 out of 10 if I would grade how he sells that compared to how he sold it against Billington. There is one botch though, the drop kick that Okada does where it was supposed to be turned into a sharpshooter. But I guess it's okay. You can like discount that to Dax slapping away Okada's dropkick. And so yeah, the top 2 spots of the match is number 2, the draping DDT from the railings, and then Okada just smiles at the crowd. And then number 1 spot is Dax selling the count out. And then the finish of this match, very made for America. It's a fake cheat attempt. Low blow as Dax is going in the ring and then a Rainmaker. Anticlimactic. I don't like it. He'll never do this in Japan. They didn't even get to like that third part, but I guess they're going to save it for the pay-per-view. I mean, you gotta preserve Okada somehow, so yeah. TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard. Disappointing for someone who usually gets really high scores on my channel. So yeah. After this is the post-match beatdown that leads to the Darby Allin return. Honestly, how they do this is nothing special. Like, Darby just returns with his music. And you know what I like? I like that they did it. They could have done it in a more creative way. Maybe slide in the Sting route, but I guess that's somewhat pretty dangerous. But yeah, I like the decision that Darby, like one of the originals, one of the ride or die AEW guys, is actually part of Team AEW. Danielson, yes, I can get. I don't know about Dax and Cash though. Like, they are the 2 who don't belong in the team the most. Like, I could have had Kingston there, and then maybe a Hangman Page, but yeah. So yeah, that's the show. It's not as good as it is on paper, but it does deliver enough, and I think the non-wrestling segments really carried the show because the matches weren't as good as I thought they would be. So yeah, that's it for the review. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever, who cares, all of that jazz. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.